Palestine's push for a two-state solution may be at the crossroads. Recently, the Palestinian president said they could no longer rely on the U.S. to broker peace after it decided to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The greater region is already in political turmoil, while Palestine itself is divided due to the internal disputes. We spoke to Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al Maliki to discuss all this. I'm Ahmed Al Burai and you're watching One on One. Thank you, Mr. Minister, for talking to TRT World.
Thank you.
The first question I'd like to ask you about your relations as the Palestinian state with the United States. After 1 year of Trump's presidency, how do you evaluate your relations, especially with the recent measures taken by the Donald Trump administration toward the Palestinian cause?
Well, we could divide it into two parts. Since the inauguration until the 6th of December, and then, afterwards. Since the inauguration until the 6th of December, our relationship went through good moments. President Trump visited Palestine. President Trump invited the Palestinian president to Washington. Both have met in Riyadh, and they talked by phone many times. His special envoys visited Ramallah tens of times. Our delegation went to Washington, met with their counterpart tens of times, and he assured us that he's not going to impose anything that will be contradictory to the Palestinian aspirations and their rights, and that he will consult with us on all the details in that regard. This happened until the 6th of December. So that part of relationship was, as I told you, a very good relationship. And then, his statement on December the 6th, which re-altered and changed completely, our assessment of that relationship. It took it 180 degrees. And it was a shock, because days before that, our negotiating delegation was in Washington, talking to the same Kushner, Greenblatt, and they assured us that there are no surprises. Then, to hear about his decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to decide to move the embassy, the American embassy, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This really was the turning point in terms of relationships.
So can we say that this was a turning point where now the Palestinian Authority does not perceive the United States as the broker for the peace process?
You can say that.
We can say that.
Absolutely.
So what are the alternatives if the United States, the superpower, is not the main mediator between the Israelis and the Palestinians for any peace negotiations? Who's going to be on the table?
Well, the rest of the independent countries of the world, the 192 remaining countries. We can say, we don't want you. And we, the weakest part of the whole formula, we have the guts to stand up and to say, not only that we do not want you, the USA, we will not allow you, the USA, to play that exclusive brokerage role in the peace process.
Do you still have hope in the peace process, in the two-state solution, after Trump spoke about one-state solution? Benjamin Netanyahu, on the other hand, is speaking about the Jewish state, and you, as the PA, should recognize Israel as a Jewish state. Do you still have hope after 25 years of negotiation that you will come out with some solid results from these negotiations?
Yes, it depends on the following. First of all, it might be that Israel is the only country in the world that doesn't believe in a two-state solution. Even the US, they didn't say that they don't believe in a two-state solution. President Trump said, well, two-state solution, one-state solution, doesn't matter as long as both parties agree on that. So, he kept himself neutral, knowing that he knows in advance that Israel doesn't believe in that two-state solution. So only the United States only Israel doesn't believe in a two-state solution. The rest of the world, reconfirmed their support for the two-state solution, including the EU. We were just, in Brussels last week, where President Mahmoud Abbas, addressed the Ministerial Council, European Ministerial Council, and there they reiterated, all of them, their commitment to the two-state solution. Because, if you reject the two-state solution, what you have instead, you will be having a one-state solution. In that one-state solution, there are two parallel paths. You have to choose between them. The first one, it's the democratic path, which means, one person, one vote for the whole population that lives in that territory. It's called historic Palestine, between the river of Jordan and the Mediterranean. There, in one person, one vote, in a democratic process, under one state solution, we demographically, the Palestinians, in less than 2 years, we will become a majority. The second parallel option is apartheid, where we are talking about one state with two systems. One state, but two systems. One system exclusive for the Jews, and one system for the Palestinian Arabs. And this system, an apartheid system, is a system that we will reject, a system the international community will reject. So the first approach, a democratic approach, the Israelis won't accept because it will take away Israel as an independent state. And the second approach, we won't accept because, it is an apartheid.
But back to the United States, and if the United States says, no way this is going to happen, and I am the godfather of the process, they do have the leverage on the Palestinian Authority. They do have the financial support. They're going to cut. They're blackmailing the Palestinians.
They cut already the financial support. So what else they can do? Congress has decided to cut all financial support. You know that, in the last 3 years, they cut their contribution by half. And Congress just recently, cut all financial support. So we cannot be more than worried about that. So they have used this argument, so they cannot keep using it.
But any departure from the United States orbit for the Palestinian cause is going to have dire consequences.
Like
about that.
Like what?
It's the
Maybe
only
I'm not
power,
aware of that.
It's the only power in the Middle East. If they want peace, they can impose peace on the Israelis. Who else can practice more pressure on Netanyahu?
You are trying to convince me? Look. That's not true. That's not true. The Israelis are always saying that they cannot accept anyone else but the Americans.
Let's be more pragmatic, Mr. Minister.
I'm extremely pragmatic with you.
Who in the Arab country is supporting your proposition? Who in the Arab...
My proposition?
What you're talking about now...
All of them.
All of them are allies to Donald Trump.
Wait a minute. Let me just, refresh your information and knowledge. I dare that a single Arab country will stand up and will say, we are in favor of taking Jerusalem out of the table of the negotiations.
It's always been
clear?
It's always been
Is it clear?
Very clear.
Very good.
It's
Thank you.
always been the case that the Palestinian Authority is always realistic. But now when you look at
realistic and very pragmatic too.
Good, that's fine. But now when you're looking at this, the Arab world is trying to have more intimate relations with Israel. They're trying to have more normal relations, whether we like it or not. It's clear. Everybody is speaking about it. I don't have a proof.
No, speaking,
but the point is,
come on.
The enemy in the region is Iran, where the others, they're trying to form this kind of coalition against it, and Trump is there. So the Arabs are not going to abandon these kind of relations unless they get rid of the Palestinian cause once and forever. That's what they're saying.
Look, I care less. I care less what I read in the media. I care less because at the end of the day, that information that's being really leaked or put in front of us, it's really being prepared by a certain country with a special intention and specific purpose. Just to send you a certain conclusion, like the one that you thought is correct. You are telling me that the Arabs are doing this kind. They are approaching Israel. They are improving their relationship. But you said at the same time that you don't have any evidence, to support your claim.
Israel,
and as a result,
Mr.
as a foreign minister of the state of Palestine, I cannot build my position based on rumors and speculation and media, information. With all
Okay.
respect.
There was no denial from any Arab capital, though the Israeli officials always day and night speaking about these kind of mending good relations with them.
They could keep talking, about it all the time.
But this will take me to the ultimate deal Donald Trump is always speaking about. What kind of this deal, speaking about the century deal
Ask
with
him.
Egypt, Jordan?
I don't know if he's aware.
He doesn't know about it.
I don't think so.
Do you think there is an ultimate deal to have an alternative homeland to the Palestinians?
Alternative?
In Sinai, in the
Alternative?
peninsula of Sinai, and in Jordan?
That's stupid. That's stupid. That's illogical. That's counterproductive, and it's a waste of time. Absolutely.
You as Palestinian Authority representative, what kind of cards do you have in hand to practice more pressure on the international community? Who in the world will support you in case the United States says, I'm out of the game?
Look, I will refresh your memory again. If you recall, during the last days of December, the past, we went to the United Nations General Assembly, and we presented a resolution against the United States of America when it comes to Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as capital of Israel and to move the embassy. Despite the pressure, intimidation, coercion, everything, saying that we are taking notes, we are taking names, we will disqualify you, for U.S. financial support, etc., etc. Still, 129 countries voted in our favor, and only 9 countries voted against us, with the Americans. With all the pressure, with all the intimidation, with all the everything. So at the end of the day, this really answers your question, because you asked me, who's supporting you, who's standing with you? Look, 129 countries stood with me, and United States of America couldn't rally to her support more than 8 countries, including Israel, and 4 or 5 small Pacific islands. Come on. It's total defeat to the American diplomacy, total defeat to the American policy. And it was defeated by whom? By a country that is still not fully independent, still under occupation. And so this is really the issue,
Okay. Now, for the Israeli side, it's very active. Everyone who is observing the Middle East knows that Benjamin Netanyahu is very active in the shuttle diplomacy. He's been to India, to Africa, he's everywhere. What the Palestinian Authority is doing, India used to be one of the main supporters to the Palestinian cause. Where is the Palestinian cause in India, for example, in Africa?
Okay.
When you look at
I will
Israel.
I will answer you. Look, again, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to refresh your information again. yes, Netanyahu went to East Africa, Netanyahu went to West Africa, Netanyahu went to India, Netanyahu went to United States, Netanyahu went to Moscow, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, when you wanted a position, we went to the General Assembly, United Nations. 129 countries have voted in our favor, including India. So at the end of the day, this is really what counts. This is what counts. Wait a minute. This is what counts. African Union had just 2 days ago its summit. Who was there? Invited by the African Union as special invitee, President Mahmoud Abbas of the State of Palestine. Nobody else is. He was the only one outside of the African Union who speaks in every summit in the plenary. Every summit in the plenary. Nobody else is. So what that really tells you? The Prime Minister of India, not only that they have voted in favor of our resolution, he's coming on the 10th to Palestine. A special visit only to Palestine. And he is going to announce financial support, to many projects, in Palestine. What that really tells you.
Now, I want to move further to the Palestinian internal issue. Recently, the U.S. Treasury designated Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas political bureau, as a terrorist, and he was blacklisted on the list of the United States. Don't you have any worries that the PLO could be listed the same way, so there's no representative? You always say that the PLO is the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. In case it was blacklisted the same as what happened to Ismail Haniyeh, what are the alternatives you have? And what's your reaction to this kind? Do you think this is a major threat?
No. You are putting a lot of weight on the U.S.
You're not putting that weight?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. You think that, a decision by the American administration to put the PLO into the terrorist list will make any difference? Will disqualify the PLO from being the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people? Or it will disqualify it, in terms of having good relations with 138 countries recognizing State of Palestine? You think that this will stop the 138 countries who have recognized State of Palestine from recognizing State of Palestine? Or you think this will close the 100 embassies that we have, around the world? Come on. Not, absolutely not. No, please.
What's your reaction about this?
Be realistic.
What about, okay, what
you
about
are putting
Ismail?
a lot of weight on United States of America. It's not anymore.
The PLO used to put that weight
not
for
anymore.
more than 25 years.
It's okay. But we never neglected the European Union. We never neglected the movement of non-aligned. We never neglected African Union. We never neglected South America. We never neglected any of these.
So can we say there is a kind of unequivocal divorce between the PA and Washington in terms of peace mediation?
No. What I will say, if the American administration will reconsider and change their mind, and take off the table that decision that they announced on the 6th of December, the last, about recognizing Jerusalem as the capital and stopping, the idea of moving the embassy, we might also reconsider. So we are giving them a chance to reconsider.
Okay, that's fine. Going back to the Palestinian cause and Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas leader, what's your reaction? What do you think about this kind of move? And will this affect any prospect reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas?
No. Do you think that, when two Palestinians speak, we need the Americans to decide if we are allowed to speak? Or we will ask the Americans,
so
what do you think?
It's not a veto
or
against
we ask the Americans, what do you think about us before we speak between ourselves? Come on. No, absolutely not. We will continue with our reconciliation process. Yes, we know that, the timing is important because, it tries to undermine the possibilities of continuing, the reconciliation process and undermining the reconciliation process. But we are determined to continue with the reconciliation process because it's in the vested interest of Palestine.
Do you have
And
any
so,
deadlines?
so the Palestinian national interest comes before anything else.
Good. How many times do you need to meet as Fatah and Hamas, the main big factions of the Palestinian political spectrum, to reach this reconciliation? It's almost 13 times now.
Who knows? Could be hundreds of times. What's the problem?
Do you have any deadlines for this reconciliation?
No, look. We had this division for the last 10 years. And during these 10 years, many facts were changed and many bodies were created. So you cannot just, with a simple decision, erase all of that. It will take time. You have to convince more, interest elements within Hamas in Gaza who will lose certain power, certain control. You have to resolve certain pending issues. You have to resolve important issues like security, like weapon, all of that. And so it is really a matter of believing in the process, determining to continue the process regardless how long it will take.
But while this took almost 10 years now and more, people are dying, the economic conditions, the ramifications of these kind of split row between the two factions.
That's why
the conditions in Gaza, for example, is very dire in terms of the humanitarian aid, the economic conditions.
I don't need you to remind me of that. We know that, and that's why we have been working.
What are you doing on the ground for these people?
Come on. Look, 58% of our budget, our national budget, goes to Gaza. Despite that, Gaza contributes zero to the national budget. So, no, we are responsible.
So the PA doesn't take any taxes from Gaza?
No.
No taxes?
No.
Hamas take all the taxes?
Until this moment. Even until this moment, after starting the reconciliation process, months after starting the reconciliation, still Hamas collects everything in Gaza. So, look, we are not giving up our responsibility towards Gaza. The people in Gaza, they are our people, and we are responsible to them. And that's why 58%, despite that the contribution is zero, despite that demography is less than half, still they are getting more than half. 58% of our total budget goes to Gaza. We are very responsible about it, and we never turned our back to their needs. This is really our responsibility, and we have been doing it. There is a reconciliation and there is no reconciliation. During the last 10 years, there was no reconciliation. Still, we were very responsible and responsive in terms of really taking responsibility and paying for everything, in Gaza. Everything in Gaza.
The whole region is already in turmoil, and you know about the Arab Spring and what happened later for more than 8 years now. And the observers are saying that the 2018 is going to be a very crucial year for the Palestinian cause. Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of the Palestinian cause? Some are so pessimistic to the extent that they say it's going to liquidate the Palestinian cause once and forever.
Do you think this is the first time that there is an intention by a country or a group of countries to liquidate the Palestinian cause? This is not the first time. And they failed. All the times they have failed. Why they have failed? Because we are determined, we are eager, we are strong, we are committed, we are united, and we resist that. So I don't have any problem. Do I have worries? Yes, I do have worries. If not, then I will be not realistic. Yes, I do have worries. I know what it means, when the United States of America works against you. I know what it means when the United States of America and Israel work against you. But I know that at the end of the day we will succeed. We will overcome. Yes. Am I optimistic? Absolutely. Absolutely. As I know that, in half an hour I will be taking, a plane to Istanbul. I'm very realistic, but I'm very optimistic. I know that we will succeed. I know that the occupation will end. I know that we will have our independent Palestinian state. I know that.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for talking to TRT World. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.